Welcome to our weekly discussion of all things current in California politics. I'm Walt Gray. Joining us this week, reporter Emily Hoeven, political expert for CalMatters.org. Emily, there's good news about California's unemployment rate. It is down to 4.6%, but the national average is 3.6%, so still some work to be done.
Yeah, it seems like when it comes to unemployment, there's always some good news and bad news for California. That rate, the 4.6% rate, is the lowest it's been during the pandemic. But paradoxically, California still accounts for a whopping 25% of all the ongoing jobless claims in the nation, even though it had about 1.3 million openings at the end of March. And so that's kind of raising questions about, okay, how is it possible that all these people are applying for unemployment when there are so many open jobs? And I think that, this is something we've seen happen for months and months during the pandemic, and I think it's going to be an ongoing battle for state leaders.
Also, information that you're aware of is as we continue to push for gas-powered vehicles, non-gas-powered vehicles, electric, hopefully, that would result in a lot of jobs lost, especially like auto mechanics.
There was some new data that we reported at CalMatters from California air regulators, and they're working to implement, Governor Newsom's directive to phase out new gas-powered cars by 2035. And they did an analysis that found California would see a net loss of about 40,000 jobs when implementing that directive by 2040. And the vast majority of those jobs would be auto mechanics because electric cars and hybrids require a lot less maintenance. And when they do require maintenance, it requires a lot of more complex skills such as electrical engineering. And so that transitioning those workers and finding ways to help them find maybe new jobs in this economy is going to be another big obstacle for Democrats in the legislature.
Yeah, I think that's already looming on the horizon, us getting away from gas-powered vehicles. There's already a shortage of mechanics. Every auto shop I know is like way down on auto mechanics. So maybe the future to be an auto mechanic in this state isn't so great. We're into almost the heart of summer, and I know we're not there yet till we get into June, but water restrictions. Southern California already has mandatory. What about the rest of the state?
Yeah, and this is a topic that we keep discussing because it's interesting. The governor keeps sort of pressing on these local agencies to implement stricter regulations because California saw an uptick in water use in recent months, despite calls to conserve 15% of their typical use. And so he keeps saying, okay, crack down, have more aggressive implementation. And if you don't, the state's going to come in and we're going to implement these mandatory statewide restrictions. But he has been threatening that for nearly a year. And there are some observers in the Capitol that say that him having these meetings and talking to local leaders and telling them to be more aggressive is a way for him to just avoid himself doing these statewide restrictions that would be more unpopular. And obviously we are heading into an election year. So getting back in this conundrum.
Yeah, it's difficult because 80% of the water used in the state is for ag, and you got to be careful how much you cut back on that because that certainly affects the economy. Emily, thank you as always. CalMatters, a nonpartisan news organization explaining California policies and politics. Find their work at CalMatters.org. You can also sign up for Emily's newsletter there.